In December 2025, in a quiet field in eastern England, archaeologists picked up two fragments of rock, each smaller than a fingernail. They were pieces of iron pyrite, and they had been struck deliberately against flint. 400,000 years ago, someone stood on that spot and made a spark. Not found fire, made it. That single discovery shattered the old record. Until then, the earliest proof of humans making fire was just 50,000 years old. This pushed it back by roughly 350,000 years. And the people who did it were not us. Homo sapiens did not yet exist. Here, in the cold soil of a vanished world, lies the oldest known fingerprint of the single most important technology our ancestors ever possessed. This is the story of the first spark, and of how a flame may have built the human mind itself.
Before there were cities, before writing, before farming, there was fire. Will Durant, opening his 11-volume story of civilization, called Civilization a Fragile Thing, an interlude resting on a handful of inventions, and fire was the first of them. But Durant wrote in 1935, and almost everything we now know about how humans mastered fire has been dug out of the ground since. The real story is older, stranger, and far more contested than he could have guessed. Because the deeper archaeologists dig, the harder one simple question becomes: when did fire stop being something that merely happened to our ancestors, and become something they controlled?
To see the problem, go to Wonderwerk Cave in South Africa. Deep inside, far past where any lightning strike could reach, lie burnt bones and the fine white ash of scorched plants around 1 million years old. It is the strongest early sign we have of fire used on purpose. But now cross to the savannas of East Africa, to sites like Kubi Fora and Chesawanja, where reddened, baked earth hints at flames older still, 1.5 million years ago. Here, the ground turns treacherous, because a patch of baked red clay can be the floor of a campfire or the scar of a wildfire that swept the grass and vanished. At Chesawanja, researchers admit, controlled use simply cannot be proven. This is the central trap of the whole story. Fire destroys the evidence of itself. So archaeologists learned to split one question into 3. Did our ancestors merely use fire, snatching a burning branch from a lightning strike? Did they use it habitually, keeping it alive, carrying it, depending on it? Or could they make it, summon a flame at will? 3 thresholds, 3 different and disputed moments in time.
Take the middle one. At Gesher B'nat Yaakov, a lakeside site in Israel, the same burnt spots return in layer after layer, across thousands of years, read by many as the traces of tended hearths, and of people who kept fire habitually some 790,000 years ago. And even where we think we can clearly see fire, the picture can flip. At Zhoukoudian in China, the caves of so-called Peking Man were held up for most of a century as proof of early fire, then doubted in the 1990s, when a closer look found no ash where ash should be, then defended again when newer analysis showed bones burned above 600 degrees. Same cave, opposite verdicts. Better methods. And the argument is still moving. Only last year, a fresh restudy of Wonderwerk pushed the possible date of fire there back toward 1.8 million years, though that claim is brand new and far from settled. Then, for a long stretch, the trail in Europe goes strangely cold.
In 2011, 2 archaeologists, Will Robrooks and Paula Vila, went looking for that trail. Reviewing the European evidence, they reached a startling conclusion. Early humans pushed north into a freezing continent, into lands that dropped below zero, apparently without the habitual use of fire. Only later, somewhere around 300,000 to 400,000 years ago, does fire become a regular, dependable part of the human toolkit, which is exactly what makes that field in Suffolk so haunting. Right at that threshold, someone was not just tending a flame stolen from the sky, they were striking sparks from stone. The pyrite they used doesn't even occur naturally in that corner of England. Someone had carried it there on purpose to make fire. And they were of the Neanderthal line, not our species. But there is a second, deeper claim about fire, one that reaches past survival and into the shape of the human mind. Its champion is the Harvard biologist Richard Wrangham, and his idea is called the cooking hypothesis. Cooking, he argues, softens food and unlocks more calories from every bite. That surplus of energy is what let the gut shrink and the brain swell. As proof, he points to Homo erectus, around 1.8 million years ago. Smaller teeth, a smaller belly, a bigger brain. What a cooking animal looks like. There is just one problem. There is almost no burnt evidence of controlled fire that far back. Wrangham's answer is bold. The body itself is the evidence. His critics are unconvinced. Some argue routine cooking began only 250,000 years ago, far too late to explain erectus. Others say it was meat, not cooking, that fed the growing brain. And some think the anatomy changed too little for cooking alone to be the cause.
The argument is not settled, and an honest history has to say so.
So here is what we can actually say. Somewhere between 2 million and 400,000 years ago, across a span so vast no single discovery will ever pin it down, our ancestors crossed a line no other creature has crossed. Fire pushed back the dark. It held off the predators waiting at the edge of the light. It stretched the day, and it pulled scattered bodies into a circle. And a circle of faces around a fire, night after night, is the first faint sketch of something new in the world, a society, the thing this whole series is about. Durant had the destination right, even where he had the details wrong. But notice the twist the evidence hands us. The ones who struck these first sparks were not yet human, not as we mean the word. The makers at Barnum were of the Neanderthal line. The mind that would one day raise cities and write 11 volumes about its own past was first kindled in the dark by hands that were not quite ours. We did not invent the flame, we inherited it.
Next time on Civilization OS. Fire kept us alive, but it was the hand that fed the flame that changed everything. From the first shaped stone to the invention that let a wandering animal finally stay in one place, we follow the moment our ancestors stopped chasing their food and began to grow it. The spark became a hearth, and the hearth became a home.